In the years since Superstorm Sandy roared on shore in Ortley Beach, the recovery has often been as much about demolition as construction. Many who thought they would be able to repair their homes eventually ended up tearing them down and starting over. George and Deborah Palazzano were among the Ortley residents whose home had to be demolished. The Palazzanos' 2nd Avenue home was knocked off its foundation by Sandy's surge. On a rainy day in June, the Palazzanos watched as their home was knocked down. The condominium of their 2nd Avenue neighbor, Lisa Frankel, was taken down the same day. The Palazzanos moved to their rental property that was next door to their demolished house. This home was flooded but not destroyed by Sandy. Palazzano and his son, Matt, spent a frightening night trying to ride out the storm in their now demolished home, eventually wading through chest-high water to safety at a nearby condominium complex. They planned to rebuild their house on 2nd Avenue. Frankel, whose condo was one of 3 units in the building that's now gone, has spent most of the year since the storm living with her parents in North Jersey. She and her neighbors in the condo building want to rebuild, but are arguing with the township over a zoning issue and with insurance companies about money.
When it finally got torn down, I was relieved. It was almost like the start of a new beginning. It was going to start, like that was the first step in the right direction to get it torn down. It was hard to see it when it was gone, but it was torn down. And now when I walk around the lot and I find little pieces of like tile, it's actually very funny.
Frankel spent some summer weekends on her property, which meant making alternative arrangements.
Well, we were staying in a tent for the majority of the summer. We would come down, put the tent. And then a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine said, do you want an RV till your house gets built? So he drove it down for us, parked it here, and here we are. It's you know, it's kind of cool. It's not a tent. We're still at a standstill. We have no variance. It's, you know, you talk to one person, they say your grandfather claused in. You talk to another person, and they say we're absolutely not. We're almost $10,000 in it between lawyer and architect and engineering fees already. And we're not anywhere near closer to being built or breaking ground or anything. And this is all insurance money we're spending.
Kathy Barashano and her partner, Cindy Pagano, moved back to Ortley at the end of May. They had been unable to return for months because the remnants of 3 other houses were smashed against the rear of their Nichols Avenue home. When they first returned, they had no kitchen and cooked meals on a grill outside. Now that their house is totally rebuilt, Barashano said she worries that a smaller beach and the lack of dunes make Ortley vulnerable to any future storms that could damage the house yet again.
It's been almost a year since the storm, and it took us about 6 or 7 months to get back in our home, and that's because of the debris that was scattered around the property and the fact that we didn't have any utilities. So as soon as we were able to get back in, we moved in, but without a kitchen or without a downstairs finish. So we roughed it for a while, but we're back home now, and as you can see, everything's kind of back to normal except for outside of us. And you know, while I'm really happy to be home, it's a little, I guess, uncomfortable with all the construction going on. It's a construction zone that we live in, but more importantly is the fact that now that, you know, everything's back in my home to normal, that I'm so vulnerable to any kind of storm that might come up this storm season. You know, the same thing could happen, and it's disturbing.
Scott and Carolyn Edrington left their beachfront home the day before Sandy. They never saw it again. All that was left of the house was some pilings. They are still living in Bayville at a house that belonged to Carolyn's mother. Scott, a contractor, has been working in Ortley regularly helping to repair friends' homes. He and Carolyn plan to rebuild and elevate their house, but are waiting until some engineering issues and financing get sorted out. Scott admits he often misses waking up to the sound and smell of the ocean.
My wife and I, Carolyn, we're still in Bayville, and I've been coming over here and doing some side jobs for friends, and we haven't made any major decisions about what to do building-wise. There's still a lot of engineering questions. Most of them are getting sorted out. In fact, my neighbor behind me, he's actually allowed to use the platform that he has, but he's going to go up a few feet just for the heck of it, not to get a garage or a basement area, but just to have, you know, a little extra cushion, and it makes sense. And been coming over off and on, so I've been staying busy over here. So it feels a little better every time you come over, but there's some days, where it feels like it's not going fast enough. But I think another year it'll be a wholly different place. The road will be in, the utilities will all be back, and the businesses are back. That's what I like. In fact, all the little businesses except for the surf club are pretty much, I don't think they're doing great, but at least they're here hanging out.
Warren County residents Eva and Jeffrey Raymond thought they could repair their flooded house on Harding Avenue. But they discovered cracks in the foundation and the house was demolished this summer. They are rebuilding with a modular house that will be elevated 8 feet. They really missed being in Ortley this summer, and they hope to be back at the beach next year. Bill Mullen grew up in a home on Coolidge Avenue. Even though his house was totally destroyed by the storm, he is still hopeful that he will be able to rebuild. During the summer, he planted a garden on the site where the house once stood to show that there is still life in Ortley and that the battered community will return.
My house was located at 18 Coolidge Avenue in Ortley Beach. It was destroyed by the monster storm because the house broke up. Half of the house wound up on the highway. The top half of the house wound up on the highway. And the bottom half, have no idea what happened to that. It's all gone. I hope to rebuild. I'm in the process of applying for the grant money, and we'll see where it goes. I decided to put the garden up as a remembrance to my folks and to demonstrate that there's life here. Even though the house is gone, the flowers represent a sense that life continues and Ortley Beach will be back, not in the same sense as it was, but in time it will be back, and it's a spirit. It's just a spirit and a remembrance to my folks.